start with a little footnote about the whole 1984 Kindle affair. Do all of you know why Amazon removed those copies of 1984 from the Kindles? It was a copyright issue. It was not it was not an Orwellian governmental kind of memory hole being created. It was the publishing industry that went to Amazon and said, hey, this is a Canadian edition, which in Canada this book is now public domain, but in the United States it's not. And therefore, if you expect us to continue to provide our products to your device, you need to pull those books. Now, Amazon handled it horribly, and Jeff Bezos sent out an abject letter to everyone who had a Kindle saying this was stupid and irresponsible and will never do anything like it again, which is itself a little bit odd, because what happens the next time there's a screw up? Is he really going to not do that again? Who knows? So you know, it's easy to sort of jump from an incident like that and to feel that this is an indication of some sort of nefarious totalitarian regime, when actually what it is the result of a collision between an old legal regime and a new technological reality. So just keep that in mind as you see these events, and when you hear these anecdotes, you know, probe a little more deeply into them, because every anecdote that gets repeated, whether by in a public forum or certainly on the internet, if you trace it back, you find that there's always subtleties and complexities and things that you've never imagined behind them. So for me, I have to say the picture that Alan presented at the beginning is one that's so utterly unrecognizable to me in my experience of technology and on the internet for the last 15 years that I kind of don't know where to begin, which is why I began with Kindle in 1984. But let me just take one phrase that Alan used. He said that we're trying to disappear ourselves into technology. And my experience, I started publishing on the web in 1994. I had worked for over a decade in newspapers. I started as a newspaper journalist, the Old Examiner. And the web came along, and I thought to myself, this is the future. Anyone can publish. All it took for me to publish a website in 1994 was $30 for a domain name, and of course that's a lot cheaper than it is today, and another $30 to an internet service provider, and 10 minutes reading a how-to-use HTML guide, and there I was publishing. And I thought, this is irresistible. Everyone will be doing this within a couple of years, and the newspapers will be dead, so what am I doing still working at a newspaper? I left as soon as I could. Now, I was somewhat premature, perhaps, jumped the gun, but the lure of this technology was great, and the lure was utterly human. It wasn't, people who started publishing on the web didn't do so because they loved computers. Most of them didn't care about computers. They loved expressing themselves, and that's what they started doing, and it got easier and easier and cheaper for them to do it. And that's why they were doing it. That's why they're still doing it. Now, this has consequences on the business models of any industry that depends on a scarcity of media, a scarcity of information, whether it's the music industry, publishing industry. All of these businesses are being affected with grave consequences to many people's jobs. Those are serious issues. I'm supporting myself publishing books now. I certainly want to see that continue. I love doing it. I want to keep doing it. But I'm also a realist, and I look around and I say, well, what's important to me is that there be some structure or entity that can pay me enough money that I can support my family while I write long things. Do they need to be between hardcovers? I don't care. I like hardcovers, they're nice, but I like reading books on an iPhone too. It's a really cool platform. I don't like the Kindle very much. I haven't fallen in love with it, but to me, these are all delivery mechanisms. Now, I love music. I grew up listening to vinyl records, as many of us did. When the CD came along, I thought, oh, now we won't have these beautiful 12-inch album covers, and that's a shame. But the sound quality is kind of better, even though you can argue with people about that. And the audiophiles tell us, no, sampling is evil. But, you know, it's okay. It's fine. And then MP3s came along, and now CDs are vanishing. Music, that's not going away. We have a human need for music. We have a human need for stories. They will exist in some form, and we'll need to keep figuring out the economic bases to support people who want to help.